Welcome to What's Up, Bolts. I'm Fernando Ramirez. That sunglass donning, hat wearing, whistle blowing son of a gun is Dan in Daygo. Obviously, not the kind of whistleblower that
That'll get
the
me
other
killed.
kind.
No assassinations over here. I am not suicidal.
Exactly. So, but here we are. It is week 3. I don't know if week 3 can already be deemed a must win, but the Chargers go to Minnesota this weekend
You're an
and
idiot.
they face the Minnesota
Idiot.
Vikings at 10 a.m. 10 a.m. Pacific. Dan and Daygo have a lot. We have a preview for you guys. I got some film for Dan to watch to
Lean in here. Let me
give
lean
me a little. Yeah, I know he'll get excited. And
He's
then the Athletics, Alec Lewis joins the program to
shut
break
up.
down the Minnesota Vikings. Dan, he wrote a really good article on what you like that, where that's why that got started, where it's coming from, and everything. So it was a really nice piece. We got into that. We talked about it, and he broke down everything about the Minnesota Vikings. So very good stuff there. You won't want to miss it. But Dan, I've already been talking for a minute 20. I apologize. How are you doing today?
I just wake up in the morning and piss excellence for I'm exactly like Ricky Bobby. If you're not first, you're last. So when it comes to this team, like I said, I'm not letting them affect my mood anymore. I'm glad it's at 10 a.m. because what do I tell you every week when I know it's at 10 a.m. Frau? Let the listeners know.
That you can get it out of the way.
Exactly. Thank God I can get it out of the freaking way, dude.
Unless they win, then he's excited for the rest of the day.
Well, we'll see. Short lived, because then I see who we play next after.
The Derby's on Sunday as well.
Oh, the Derby? Who? The city?
Atletico versus Real Madrid.
Oh, really? The Madrid Derby?
Yeah, 12.
Oh, okay. So one screen we're gonna have the Derby. We got the ticket.
Yeah. So basically, obviously, both these Dan, and this is what I talked about with Alec. These guys, or both of these teams are basically mirror images of each other. I mean, you could literally do the SpongeBob picture where they're looking at each other pointing. Yeah. And this is what both of these teams are. I mean, they're both 0-2. Both could be 2-0. Yeah. They could be two of the best teams in the NFL. They have the talent. They have playmakers. So obviously the Chargers did face the Minnesota Vikings 2 years ago. Brandon Staley was asked about that today. He said, you know what, guys, that's a whole nother team. Like when now that we're facing them, Kevin O'Connell is now the is now the play caller and the head coach. Brian Flores is the defensive coordinator. So you know they're going to be a tough SOB kind of defense. Yeah, and they're not just going to lay down like they did last year at numerous times. So and Kevin O'Connell and Brandon Staley are good friends. They were both together, I believe, with the Rams. When Brandon got hired by the Chargers, he wanted to bring Kevin over as his offensive coordinator, but the Rams blocked that from happening because they wanted to keep him. So
are Kevin, you trying to tell me Lombardi was like his 4th, 5th choice? What are you trying to tell me?
I can neither confirm nor deny. But when you look at it as well, that team is loaded with talent. They got Justin Jefferson. They have Jordan Addison. They got KJ Osborne. They have some playmakers. Oh, and guess what? Today they traded for Cam Akers, the running back. Dan, do you know why they traded for Cam Akers?
Why?
They have accumulated only 69 rushing yards in the first 2 weeks. Yeah. 62 from Madison and 7 from Kirk Cousins. So they were not running the ball well. They get Cam Akers. We'll see if how much he plays on Sunday because he knows the system from Kevin O'Connell. He was with Kevin.
Yeah, right. He was with them in the Rams.
But who knows how much they use him. But that's another weapon now you have to account for if you're the Chargers defense.
Yeah, but I mean, either way, watch the tape, Frau. They can put a guy in there who just barely came over, and they can run the football probably effectively. Like just KISS, Frau. That's what you got to do. Keep it simple, stupid. It's not hard. Just run a few counters, powers, inside zone, outside zone. You'll be good to go. Like you said, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I know we're going to get into it a little bit later, but I was watching something. I'm not going to lie. I didn't watch all the games, but I saw the highlights, and I have a little little notepad. Oh, well, you can't see because of the virtual screen. I got a little notepad so when we get into it. And I think, I know it's probably stupid to say must win when it's only week 3, but I mean, you've got to correct the ship at some point because the longer, it's like the old saying goes, shit rolls downhill. The longer it goes to poopy, the bigger that ball's going to get and the harder it's going to be to control. So I almost want to say this is almost a piss or get off the pot type of game.
Oh, I said, I apologize. I did it again. So basically,
when the taboo buzzer,
I know you're not kidding. So basically, when you're looking at what the Vikings do well, I mean, they throw it down the field, dude.
Yeah.
Justin Jefferson has 309 receiving yards in the first 2 weeks. He had 150 against the 150 against the Philadelphia Eagles. And then he had, I think, about 149 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So, I mean, you're going to have to pick your poison here. Brandon Staley on Monday told us that they're going to still be rotating cornerbacks. And so that I know I saw what Michael Davis had said that's kind of confused. He told Daniel Popper of The Athletic, it throws you off rhythm, but it seemed Brandon said, we're going to be rotating all 3 guys until we can find a starter out of the 2 when we can find 2 starters, 2 concrete starters. I think they're going to pick and choose their situations. It's between J.C. Jackson, Asante Samuel Jr., and Michael Davis. So I don't know how that is going to do.
Like you would, again, you would assume
because Jazier Taylor is now the starting. He's starting at star, which is basically their slot guy. So he is now the starter there. They tried the experiment with Asante Samuel Jr. I don't think they liked it. And then I kind of asked Jazier, well, what is your job entail? And he basically said like I have to be good in tackling. And I'm like, oh, okay. So maybe, and I mean, I'm not saying that he said anything, but I feel like that was maybe indicative of why Asante may not be that guy. But I mean, Asante, he's still that same guy that had 3 picks in the first half of that Jacksonville game. But just feels like
the game that must not be named, Frown. The game that must not be named.
It feels like he's just it feels like the whole team is just kind of in a rut. But
I would say defensively they're in a rut.
But even offensively, they had hiccups and they've had mess ups.
But I mean, and honestly, you look at the big picture. It's like we always talk about on Saturdays going to film. You're not as bad as you thought, and you're not as good as you thought. And in my mind, if I have to flip a coin, I'm going to take the offense every time. I want the ball. I want to score. I'm not going to put the defense out there at all. I'm not going to punt. I'm going to treat it like Madden, Frau. 4 verts, and I'm going. Give me a slant, dude.
So obviously, Justin Herbert spoke to the media on Wednesday, and this is what he had to say today. Or Wednesday. So let's see what he had to say.
I think we do our best not to listen to stats and listen to things outside of our control. We're going to do everything we can to win this game on Sunday, and we're doing everything we can during practice, in the film room, in the weight room, and anything beyond that is not in our focus right now. So we're focused on the Vikings.
That's a leader right there. I every time I see him, there's just a little ray of hope for him. I feel like getting out of Moe's. I feel like not being in there every time I see him. But then, of course, I see the product out there, and then I go back to reality, and I go back in and start drinking. But it is what it is. But
go ahead.
No, I was going to say, again, that is exactly what you want to hear. Will it happen? Who knows? Because, my God, who knows what's going to happen on Sunday? It's always But going back to what I was saying, I think through 2 games, the offense has looked a lot better than the defense. I think what's happened offensively, those hiccups that people are talking about, I don't understand the craziness of saying the son of Odin isn't clutch and stuff like this. Like, in my mind, I still think of the Raider game, I think his rookie year, or the first season of Staley, my bad. And I think, this guy can do anything. I think these past 2 games, it's just, number one, it was a well-timed blitz by the Dolphins, unblocked. What more can he do? And against the Titans, I think it was something similar where, someone messed up a pass pro. And then again, those 3 plays in overtime just looked messy and dirty, especially the third down. They all looked confused. There was no need to hurry up. And
you relax. You just said messy. Fox Sports and all these other channels are gonna get excited. They're gonna think you're talking about Messi magic.
Get out of here. I don't like Bums Frown. That guy's garbage.
My bad.
Garbage. No, you're good. You're good. But like I'm saying, offensively, in my mind, it's just football, dude. It's not always going to come up the way you want it. And just right now, offensively, in those 2 moments where you needed clutch points, it didn't come up the way you wanted. And this is what I was talking about today or the other day at Saints. This is what's kind of been bothering me. This is my take. Whatever I say does not reflect the feelings of the program or the point of view of the program or my brother.
What about Hilberto?
No, he's a scumbag. He always gets the negatives. But I think in year 1, I love that Brandon Staley was going for it on 4th down, more aggressive. I don't like all the talks of analytics and computers and numbers. I don't like it. I don't trust it. But I think, after year 1, he sort of listened to those voices saying, oh, he's insane going for it on 4th down and da-da-da-da. And he did it less than year 2. And I think him going away from who he is. Oh, you got something? Hold on. Now you interrupted. I couldn't. Let me finish.
Sorry. No, go ahead.
I think him going away from it in year 2 is what's costing him some of these games. Same what's cost him in these first 2 games. Like we've talked about, and I think I've already said it twice. I don't know why you settle for a field goal against Miami, and I don't know why you settle for a field goal against Tennessee when, again, I'm a student of history, and I've already seen what's happened in the past 2 games when your defense is the last one out there. So I would go for it, but that's just me. Call me crazy.
I think that Cleveland game last year not scared them, but I think that one, remember they went for it, they didn't get it, and then they kicked that field goal from distance. Cade York missed, and then even like Keenan Allen had tweeted out like WTF, like what is going on? Like, why are we doing this? So I don't know if maybe that was something, but I'm just saying like
it happened.
So I don't know if like all that kind of like made him chill out a little bit, but
that's the thing.
But he was I never thought the only time that I ever thought he was reckless with it was in that Raider game
on the 20
backed up into his end zone. I didn't care that he went for it because I thought he needed something to get things started.
Yeah,
but I thought running it up the middle with Austin Eckler was like that was a dumb move. Just
the only other one I had a problem with was I think his first
the Cleveland one
here was against the Chiefs at halftime. Right before halftime, should have just taken the 3 points.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what it was.
Almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, but they almost got it. But remember what it was? It was Donald Parham had caught it. And then he did something.
Took a hit,
it wasn't in. He did something where he just didn't. He didn't secure the ball or something like that. Oh no! And then they had that one where who was the fullback at the time? Derek Watt, was he still the fullback? No, it was some. I remember somebody caught it and they rolled and it looked like it was a touchdown. Then they called it. Maybe that was a different game.
Yeah, was that fair?
Yeah. But yeah, I definitely agree. But I think that Cleveland game may have kind of, but
maybe, but it's like.
But going back to that Raider game, I always thought when Mike scored that game-tying touchdown, I thought they're going to go for 2. They're going to end it right here and go
exactly again. Yeah.
And when they didn't, I was like, dude, like that would have been the perfect. Your defense was already gassed. Like you go for this, you get it. You would have changed fortunes because that year they were scared. Like they would have gone into the playoffs. They could have been a scary team for I think they would have played in Buffalo. So I think that would have been an interesting matchup to say the least. But I completely agree with you, Dan. Just real quick, one quick one from Derwin James. Let's hear what he had to say, and then we will get to our guest because we don't like to keep guests waiting.
No, not at all. We're not rude. We're not Hilberto.
All right, let's listen to what Derwin had to say.
I got all the faith in the world. Like I say, everybody focus on the results. And like I say, we know the sense of urgency that we got to get. We're going to play harder, and we're going to continue to get better. We got better today at the practice field. And I got all the confidence in the world in all my guys.
That guy's a dog, dude. I love watching that guy. God, I just wish I wish the Chargers could clone him and put it. Could you imagine 5 DBs, Derwin James? Oh my God.
I don't think the receivers could get off the line. Well, and that's what I had said for that Miami Dolphins game. I'm like, I would have brought Derwin down, just had him jam Tyreek Hill every single time and then do whatever he was going to do. Yeah. But just jam Tyreek right off the line, make him smack him around or something.
Yeah.
That would have been interesting to see. But all right, let's not keep Alec waiting. Let's go to him now and
Shout
see
out.
what he has to say about Kirk Cousins, the Minnesota Vikings, and his gritty. Is he good? Is he good at doing the gritty? Let's find out. Folks, I love when it's the NFL season. Why? Because we get to bring in a member of the media from the opposing team. And who better to bring than the Athletics, Alec Lewis? He covers all things Minnesota Vikings. And we had to have him on the show. So, Alec, thank you so much for jumping on. And how's the weather in Minnesota as of right now?
Yeah, it hasn't gotten cold yet, but we're waiting for it. I mean, you see me in a hoodie right now, so I'm prepared. I'm loaded up. It will get cold from October to April, and that's just how it goes. But I appreciate you having me. It's been a wild start to this season, as it I'm sure always is for most parties involved. But it's been fun. I'm looking forward to this game. I mean, I as you guys know, it is a must-have, I think, for both sides at 0-2. So it's fun. I love analyzing these two teams. They're similar and different in some different ways, and so it'll be fun to talk about. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, no, it's like the Spider-Man meme, where they're looking at each other and pointing at each other. That's what this game really feels like. But like you said, they're different. But let me ask you right off the bat, why are the Vikings 0-2 so far? I mean, they played against Tampa Bay. That felt like an anomaly. They turned the ball over numerous. I think they had like 4 fumbles in that game or something like that, and then they lose. No, they had 4 fumbles in the Eagles game. They had a couple of turnovers in the Bucks game. But why are they 0-2 to start the season?
Yeah, they're -6 in the turnover margin through 2 games, and when you do that, you're just not going to win a lot of football games. Like I looked last year. This was after the Tampa loss in Week 1. I looked last year. Teams that were -3 in the turnover margin in one game were like 1-37 last year. So when you do that again, you just don't win football games, and that continued in Week 2 in Philadelphia at Lincoln Financial Field against that Eagles team that was in the Super Bowl last year. So if you're going to try to beat that team on the road, even with some of the injuries that they had, you can't turn the ball over. And it was a fumble on a punt return. It was an Alexander Madison fumble on first down. It was Kirk Cousins getting sacked from the blind side and fumbling the football. And so it's funny because fans and even media member, you're analyzing, how can they fix this issue? Can they do different drills? Kevin O'Connell said that they're going to make it a priority all week. But the reality is, I mean, these are professional football players. Holding on to the football is kind of the name of the game. So I think that is the reason they are 0-2. I think there have been some positives. There have been some negatives, and we can get into both of those in terms of other elements of why they haven't kind of run away with these games. But turnovers are the most indicative stat to winning football games. You can talk to any analyst, any analytics staffer, and they will tell you that. And so when you're -6 through 2 weeks, it's going to be a rough go.
No, Alec, you're preaching to the choir. The Chargers are the first team, I think, since the merger to score 50 points in the first 2 games of the season, have 0 turnovers, and be 0-2. So when those stats come out, I mean, I'm telling you that is wild. Like, Justin Herbert is taking care of the football, running backs have taken care of the football, but they just not materialize. So that's why we say, like, these two teams are very, very similar. But when you look at it, I mean, Minnesota just hasn't been able to run the football. Alex Madison has 62 yards. Kirk has thrown in 7 on his own. So they have 69 rushing yards in 2 weeks. For maybe some Charger fans and NFL fans who aren't really familiar with Minnesota, has this been kind of a trend since Kevin O'Connell took over in Minnesota?
Yeah, without question. And last year, the Vikings had Dalvin Cook as their running back. Dalvin, everybody knows he'd been really successful here. The fans in Minnesota loved him as a player. But last year, I would say he was more explosive than efficient. And so as the year progressed, they had a lot of negative runs. This is last year I'm talking about. A lot of negative runs, a lot of carries for 0 yards. And so this entire offseason, a lot of what they did offensively and how they thought about taking this offense forward was geared toward how can we be more efficient running the football. To do that without Dalvin Cook and with Alexander Madison, excuse me, was always an interesting question. But the Vikings kind of prioritize signing a guy in tight end Josh Oliver from Baltimore. He's a big tight end. They extended fullback CJ Ham. They designed some of their run schemes to be more gap oriented, and I think they thought all of that would kind of help to be more efficient in the run game, so that you wouldn't put Kirk Cousins in positions to drop back on 3rd and long and have to find guys down the field. Now, again, through 2 weeks, it's been the same thing as last year. Very few efficient runs. I think they have faced 2 really good fronts, and that has to be pointed out. I mean, Tampa's front with Vita Vea is really tough. The Eagles' front is maybe the best in the league with Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis and those guys. So that's contributed to it. But regardless, if you're not running the ball efficiently against the best teams, then what does it really matter? But it has been a priority all offseason. It remains a priority after 2 weeks. And I imagine the rest of this week, we're going to hear a lot about it from Kevin O'Connell and the players. We have to run the ball more efficiently. And the ways they attempt to do that, it's going to be fascinating to watch come Sunday.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I read your piece on Kirk Cousins. Wow. That just it's funny. You guys need to go check this out on Alec Lewis's. He has it pinned on his Twitter or X or whatever the hell you want to call it nowadays. But it is such a, like, you like that isn't just like a mantra. It's kind of pent up from everything that Kirk has experienced, from a C- that he got when he was in elementary school to the beatings that he took at Michigan State. Can you just talk about that? What was that like to sit down with him and talk about that and putting that story together? I mean, like I said, you like that is just pent up from everything that Kirk Cousins has done and everything that he's had to go through to get to this point. I mean, he's not one of these guys that was a 5-star quarterback, went on to be the first pick in the draft. No, he had to fight his way to be to where he's at today. But can you talk about that?
Yeah, first, I appreciate you reading it and mentioning it and the comprehension of the story, and your takeaway is kind of what I experienced just kind of diving into it. I mean, I'll tell you, I started covering the Vikings right before last season. And so my impression of Kirk and Kirk Cousins in general was what the masses think of Kirk Cousins, the primetime stuff, the nerdy, you like that thing. Like, that was what I thought. And then I watched
the chains on the plane.
Right. The Kirko chains. But I watched him every day, and I was like, you know what? This is kind of fascinating. And then this summer, he was on a podcast, Bussin' with the Boys podcast, and he said something that really struck me. He said, I want my kids to love something the way I love football, but I don't want whatever they love to torment them the way football has tormented me. And I heard that quote, I wrote it down because I'm kind of insane. I started to say, I want to know what he means by that, what that looks like. And I ended up calling probably 25 people who are really close to him, Mike Shanahan, a ton of people who have been around him throughout his background. And it kind of sent me on an odyssey to try to dig deep with Kirk. And we ended up sitting down twice for, I think, like 45 minutes to an hour each. And he was just so human, so open, so willing to kind of, I think, just explain what he's put himself through to try to be as good as he can be. And by the end of it, as I sat in front of a Google Doc of 70 pages of transcription and notes, I said to myself, like, if you can't appreciate what he has put himself through, no matter how you think about where he lies and the quarterback tiers and all this stuff, if you can't appreciate it, then I think it's kind of that would be tough. And so it was a story that, like, this is why that type of story is why I do the job. It's why I got into this in the first place. And his openness and willingness to share made the whole story. But it was a blast. And I'll say this, just related to the game Sunday, like, through 2 weeks, Kirk has been incredible. I mean, he really has. The 2 fumbles on sacks, one was a blitz pickup that didn't happen. The other one was, again, a blindside, just easy win on the outside that got to him. But, I mean, in terms of finding Justin Jefferson down the field and finding other guys, distributing the football, he's been really, really good. They've been without 2 of their key offensive linemen for a lot of these games. So it's been cool, I think, just to watch him. and with the background of knowing what he's been through. I think that's a lot of these guys and the human beings they are. The more perspective you have, I think it makes it more interesting to watch them and see how they react to certain things.
I completely agree. And like I said, it's a fantastic story. I think everybody should check it out. You know what's funny? I mean, I keep on hearing like, the Vikings are starting to look elsewhere to maybe find a quarterback. They're going to look at the draft. They're doing this. They're doing their research because I think Kirk's contract is up after this year. But
Correct.
I mean, and I understand all the stuff on primetime games and all that, but he's not a bad quarterback. And I think people need to, especially, I don't know how Vikings fans are, but you don't know how good you have it until you have to go through the lumps and look at the Jets. And I'm not trying to laugh, but the Jets are still looking for a replacement for Joe Namath. Like, that's how bad this is all. Like, it's not guaranteed that you're going to find a quarterback. And I feel like Kirk, especially after reading your story, I feel like Kirk is actually, like you said, like you have to look, and that's why it takes certain journalists to like be able to look beyond all the narratives that everybody paints. And I feel like that's why beat reporters have a better sense than national people, because you're in there, you watch, you see what these people do. Not to go on a tangent or anything, but I'm just saying, like, I think everybody, like the Vikings fans, shouldn't want to lose what they have, especially because they're saying, oh, he might go to San Francisco, he might go here, he might go there. It's like, you don't want to lose that, especially with the way he's been playing, and he's on the same page with Addison and with Jefferson. I mean, I wouldn't want to lose that if I was a Vikings fan.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fascinating team building question right now because you have TJ Hawkinson, you just extended for a lot of money. You're going to have Justin Jefferson potentially the biggest contract that's not paid for a quarterback. And so,
Jamar Chase is going to be like, all right, you got that much.
and I mean, I just got to be honest. Justin Jefferson deserves more than Jamar Chase for what he means.
100% agree.
This present offense, but the Kirk Cousins situation is difficult because for what you have to allocate to a guy like him because of what he deserves. I mean, Daniel Jones just got $40 million, and the difference between production between those two guys is as wide of a gap as you'll see.
Can I blow your mind right now? Can I blow your mind?
Sure.
Do you know that Nick Chubb in his career has made what Danny Dimes is going to make this season?
It's wild. It is
crazy, but I just killed your train of thought, and I apologize for that.
No. I've still got it. But Kirk Cousins, I mean, with this team, what they've tried to do is really turn over their roster building structure. And so as they look ahead, and I think as most teams in the NFL realize, you can build a roster much more easily with a rookie quarterback than a guy you're paying a lot of money. Now, how do you juxtapose that with the reality that Kirk Cousins is going to give you everything he's got? He's going to be prepared. He's going to be accurate. He's going to distribute the ball down the field. He's going to deal with pressure. It's a really tough roster decision. And right now it looks like both sides are going to ride it out. Kirk's going to hit free agency, and I guarantee you there will be suitors for him, which will drive the price up for the Vikings. So there's a lot to that makes it a very fascinating discussion and conversation and decision for the Vikings. And I mean, again, with the way he's played, even though he is as old as he is, he has shown that he is willing and he wants to play for a long time. He's this year before the season, he brought in a full-time body guy to work with his arm and his body. Like, he wants to extend his career and be as effective as he can in the long term. So we'll see kind of how it shakes out. But it presents a very difficult challenge for the Vikings that remains up in the air and is looming over everything that happens on a weekly basis this season.
Were you surprised that two-parter. Were you surprised that Justin Jefferson and the Vikings weren't able to come to an agreement? 1, 2, how does your gritty?
Yes, I was surprised. I kind of thought it was trending that way. And then I don't know, it was an interesting week. I know Nick Bosa got extended that week for a lot. It was just an interesting thing. And then to not see it happen was surprising for him. My gritty, it needs a lot of work. Justin and I haven't gotten to it. I've seen the new gritty there's a jet gritty. There's some new stuff. I definitely can't incorporate that yet. But I mean, this guy is unbelievable. Yeah. Chargers fans, I'm sure we'll see it Sunday. I mean, these teams, it's funny. Like, you see the numbers, you're like, man, yeah, that guy's pretty good. 9 catches, 150 yards. What you don't see is that he's doubled on almost every route he runs, and he's still able to be. I mean, I talked to one of his longtime private kind of guys that he's worked with, is the guy Jerry Sullivan, who used to be a receivers coach in the NFL for a long time. And Jerry comes up here to work with Justin before every single season and has since Justin entered the NFL. And Jerry was talking to me, he's like, we figured we've done some certain drills to be able to beat double team. Like, he knows where coverage is coming from and how he's going to set up guys, and he can do it. And he's done it through 2 weeks. And I mean, I don't really know. 150 yards for Justin has kind of just because it's like, just is what it is, which is absurd. Like, and I realize it, but you almost get used to the fact that this guy is kind of uncoverable.
Yeah, no, the guy is literally ridiculous. But 2 more quick questions. We're joined by the Athletics, Alec Lewis. Make sure you guys follow him. He covers the Vikings. What has Jordan Addison brought to this offense?
Yeah, he's brought a lot, because with how much coverage that Justin Jefferson gets and how much double coverage he gets, it leaves one-on-one matchups elsewhere. And that's for TJ Hawkinson at tight end. And last year it was Adam Thielen, who Adam has gotten older. He navigated injuries last year. He didn't separate very well. The numbers kind of bear that out. And the Vikings said, look, if we're going to get one-on-one coverage for guys who aren't Justin Jefferson, let's get guys who can separate really effectively. And Jordan Addison has been that guy. They've schemed up some ways to get him a couple deep balls down the field for 2 deep touchdowns through the first 2 weeks. But just on a down-to-down basis, his ability to separate, and then his ability to be in sync with Kirk Cousins and an offense that is pretty complex has been really impressive. And I think the reality is it's just kind of the tip of the iceberg for what he's going to accomplish this year. I mean, I think TJ Hawkinson is essentially the number 2 target, and Kirk has a level of trust in TJ that is pretty impressive. But Addison has given this offense, in this passing game specifically, another dimension that I think was an extremely targeted attempt by Kevin O'Connell and this Viking staff to kind of just give them more answers offensively.
Yeah, no, and it's funny being in LA and everything. I got to meet Jordan a couple of times last season, and he's like, "Where do you think I'm going to go?" I'm like, "Well, you're going to want to go somewhere where they have a good quarterback." And he's like, "Yeah, you're right." He's like, I do, especially so they can get me the ball. So not a bad trade-off for him to be in Minnesota. But last one for me, just kind of a 2-parter, but Daniel Hunter, 4 sacks so far to start the season. The guy has been playing out of his mind. Can you just talk about him and this defense and what Charger fans should expect from it?
Yeah, I mean, it's so interesting. Last year, Ed Donatel was a defensive coordinator, and he was he actually worked with Brandon Staley. He's a very just a Fangio heavy quarters guy, quarter half, cover 2, like that he based out of that stuff. They played with a lot of light boxes, and it was a very passive defense. Like, they were going to take punches over and over and over, and you were going to try to beat them down the field. This year, you bring in Brian Flores, who is he is the puncher. He is Canelo. He is coming at you with aggression, and I think his ability to scheme pressure has helped guys like Daniil find the quarterback. I mean, it's funny because Daniil's win rates and pressure rates are pretty similar to last year, but I think the ability of Brian Flores to think of ways to be able to attack protections has translated into sacks in a way that last year it did not. So Brian Flores is he's aggressive. He's going to throw curveballs at you. I think this secondary is it's interesting. The cornerbacks are pretty young. The safeties is a pretty stout group. But in general, I think this defense is so much more creative than it was last year. And I think if it can get Justin Herbert and this Chargers offensive line in situations that have to drop back and throw the football, it could be a long day for them, even with the skilled players they have.
Well, this weekend, Chargers versus Vikings, both are 0-2. Something's got to give this weekend, but it'll definitely be a good one. Again, check out Alec Lewis's Twitter. He's at Alec_Lewis. Make sure you guys check it out. Check out the stories because he's going to be bringing it all week. Alec, thank you so much for jumping on.
No, of course. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Looking forward to the game and seeing my guy Daniel Popper when he gets here. But no, I appreciate it. Appreciate the time. Always fun to catch up with guys around the league. It's part of what makes this thing so fun. I mean, we all, like you said earlier, I think all of us care so deeply about getting as close to these teams as we can. And I don't know how much the people on the outside really care, but I know we all put in a lot of work for it. So respect to what you do and appreciate you having me.
Same here. 100%. So Dan, obviously and thank you to Alec for joining us. His story, Dan, was about how he got a C- one time in a math test. And he was like, oh, dude, like Kirk Cousins was disappointed in himself. And he's like, I thought I had studied so much. I thought I had done better. And then when he was at Michigan State, all the defensive linemen, all the linebackers, they used to beat the crap out of him during practice when he was running scout team and stuff like that. And that guys were like, why are you taking that? He's like, because I know it's going to make me better one day. And he says, he obsesses over the game. He sometimes he stays up late thinking about a throw he didn't make or this or that. And that sometimes he drives himself almost sick. Thinking about what he could have done better. So you like that. It was all about the emotion, everything that was on his shoulders, him going, you like that, all the doubt that people had on him growing up, everything. So I thought that was pretty good. I think everybody should check it out. Great work. And again, Alec, we appreciate you so much for jumping on. But Dan, obviously a big game. I still have the old banner. I apologize. Dan, a big game this weekend with the Chargers and the Vikings. Like I mentioned earlier, both are 0-2. I don't even have to say it. I mean, I think both teams know what this team, yeah, they both need wins, especially because if you look at the AFC West, the Chargers are only one game behind, literally.
Yeah.
They're only one game behind. The Raiders are 1-1. The Chiefs are 1-1. The Chiefs offense is struggling while their defense is playing well. The Chargers offense is playing well. Their defense is struggling.
Yep.
Then you look at the Broncos, they're 0-2 and I think they're going to Miami. So that one's going to be a
Mike McDaniel's like going to be
not just that. Feed me more, Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah, no. I was like, yeah.
Feed me more,
yeah.
And so, but that's not the only thing, too, Dan. I mean, Vic Fangio's facing his old team, so that's going to be interesting as well. Not every player is still like Russell Wilson wasn't the quarterback when he was there, but there are some players that were there. So this division is manageable. When you look at the NFC North,
manageable also.
NFC North, the Packers 1-1, the Lions 1-1, the Vikings 0-2, the Bears 0-2. So both are still in this, Dan.
The 8-man football team in Chicago.
Exactly. So when you look at that, you realize that they both still have an opportunity. So what they're going to play. This weekend they're playing for an opportunity to stay in their division. I'm not saying that. I mean, it's just tough to make the playoffs or even win your division when you start 0-3. So they need something to happen, because if not, this could unravel pretty quick.
Especially exactly. It can unravel pretty quick. But who the hell wants to go into the bye week either 0-4 or 1-3? Like, you're not going to be sitting pretty there at all. Like, you don't even have a chance to kind of recoup and catch up and at least break even before you get into the freaking bye week. But sitting at 0-3 or 0-4 or 1-3 going into the bye week like that is a damn steep hill to climb, dude. Like, God be with you for that one.
I completely agree. So Dan, let's go real quick. And I wanted to show you this. Let's see. So Brian Baldinger, obviously we all know he reviews plays and stuff. So this was the play where the first. So this is overtime. This is the first play in overtime. So let's listen real quick to see what Brian Baldinger has to say about the first play.
Like, you got to really question this. Like, just what exactly are they doing here? They're going to take the deep spray fade right here to Mike Williams. Sean Murphy Bunny gets his hands on it. That's a low percentage throw, period. All right, so then you come back to second down, and you go, okay, what's the design here? You go to the 3 receiver side right here, and you don't really like it. Nobody's looking for the ball. So Justin Herbert knows he's going up against a good front. So he comes back to the other side right here, and he's just trying to just get the ball out of his hands. All right, just basically throws it out of bounds right there.
He's not trying to take a sack.
His play, all right, he gives the 3 receiver side a look, but he knows Danico Autry is coming. All right, so now he's like, uh-oh, the clock in my head is ticking. Let me just get it out of my hands. We'll go to 3rd down. All right, so now you're 3rd and 10. 3 straight.
Look at Mike Williams on here. Like it felt like everybody was confused, but
yeah. Because look, Mike Williams, I don't even think he knows the ball's been snapped. Like,
yeah,
looked like he got out there late. Who even knows if he was set? These damn officials don't know or don't do anything. So
incompletions. Here you go. So when you see this, like
Yeah,
you
look,
got the
here's-
backs in the backfield for protection. Okay, makes sense. Now what on 3rd and 10 are we doing over here? Like what is Michael Williams and Gerald Everett doing? Because he's not going there. Not with 3rd and 10, he's not going there. So now he comes back to Josh Palmer over here, and basically Palmer's out of bounds, just throws the ball out of bounds. That was a bad series, really bad series.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it doesn't take a genius to understand that looked terrible, that final series. And it was just like we talked about it after the game, dude. Like, you're wondering yourself, why are you not, trying to run the football, running like dinks and dunks or something? Like, you don't need to get the first down. Like, it's not 2-minute drill. You literally have 10 minutes to score, dude. Like, what are you in a rush for? So it didn't make sense at all, that drive right there. I think he hits the nail on the head where it's all question marks. Like, you're throwing into double coverage on a fade for Mike. I get he's the 90-10 guy or whatever, but I mean, you still have to be smart with the football in overtime. So I don't know. We'll see what happens this week for sure, because that series was definitely puzzling.
Dan, real quick, I know you like the Hogs, but I'm gonna make you watch the Titans offensive line. What did you see on this play? So I think they have a tight end in motion.
Yeah.
Watch this.
Oh, outside zone. Yeah. See, that's exactly what you have to do right there. Go back real quick. You always want to. They did a good job. Was that the tackle?
No. I think that was a receiver came up.
Good job. I know.
Watch the receiver. The receiver hits Khalil Mack.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what you want to do, right? When you're going outside zone as an offensive lineman, or even as a I guess like a wide receiver like this guy cracking.
Is 11 on 11 real quick? He's coming up. Is that a block in the back? Watch 11. He's right there next to Jazier.
Yeah.
No, that's a clean tackle, right? Or a clean hit?
Yeah. He barely touches him. He didn't even level him.
And then
if he would have leveled him, it would have been good. But go back to that guard real quick. He does a good job attacking the outside shoulder, because that's exactly what you want to do in outside zone. I just think he gets a little too wide, but I mean, he plays right into it. That's exactly the way you want to do it, because you want to put your inside shoulder to his outside shoulder, and then you just work your hips to make sure you cut him off from the outside. That's exactly textbook right there. If you're on audio, you're going to want to check this out. That is textbook. Good getting outside, just a little too wide for me, but I mean, he still makes contact, not too much penetration. Then the puller does exactly what he needs to do. That was just well blocked, dude.
Nick Neiman is at the he looks like he's the offensive lineman. Look at him.
Lead blocking. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, and then, like, honestly, kudos to that wide receiver blocking, Khalil Mack on the edge, allowing the tackle to pull, dude. Like,
all right,
that's no small feat.
So you have a two tight end set here.
Yeah.
What do you see?
Is this the same player? Or is this different?
No, this is different. This is Derek Henry.
Double team. Oh yeah, they got stood up. You see how they got stood up? There was no vertical push, dude. That's the problem sometimes when you get. Look how much lower. Is that Khalil Mack on the edge, or who's that? I think that might be Khalil Mack. He's literally both of these guys' shoulders, and that's why they couldn't push him at all. And he's sitting in the hole. That's the biggest problem. Sometimes when you have these tight ends blocking, like, they're not used to it, because obviously half of these guys probably think they're bigger wide receivers anyway. And it's all about leverage. Like I tell the kids all the time, dude, like, I barely pass geometry, but you get me geometry in offensive line play, I can dissect it, how you need to get your shoulders under his shoulders, proper pad level, better body positioning and stuff like that.
Oh,
So
but you know what? It was still a first down. So it was a first down play.
Yeah, because he fell forward. I remember this play.
Yeah.
He fell forward on top of those guys or whatever. That's why he got the first down. But I mean, if you look, they totally got stood up they would have been stood up for a 1 yard gain essentially if it was 1st and 10 because they had no proper pad level. And literally the defender splits the double team. Like you're supposed to step together so that way there's no wedge and drive him together off the football, dude.
So right here you have 2 receivers on the right and 2 tight ends. So you basically have 7 people on the line right now. Derrick Henry's in the backfield. Ryan Tannehill's in shotgun. And go ahead, Dan.
Let's see what this is. Oh, this is a rollout. Rollouts are always tough on the edge because you got to scoop these guys. You got to log.
Oh, this is the one where he had Alohi Gilman defending DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah. And he gets him, obviously. Yeah, look at
that. He shoved him off. Did you see that?
Yeah, a little shove, but I mean, it is what it is. I hate when they're too soft, but a little shove. But I mean, those are always tough, dude. Yeah, especially, rollouts are something else, dude. It's a little bit tough, especially when you're on the edge, but you got to just get out there and attack them. Similar to outside zone, obviously. Just don't go upfield.
What about here, Dan? You got on the side. He has a tight end right in front of him.
It's Joey Bosa. Oh, I think this is the rollout from end zone. Yeah, look, see, he doesn't get his hips out there. He could have killed Tannehill, dude. Look how much separation DeAndre gets, though. My God, dude. Oh, here we go. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Total cluster right there. They got him right at the line, dude. You could tell there was I think the center falls, so that's not going to be good in any run play. Go back to the beginning real quick of this one. Yeah, look. Oh, no, it's the guard. The guard falls. The tight end, Jesus, I don't even know what that was. Yeah, that was just a bad play. He didn't cut him off at all. There was no vertical push.
Look how many guys it takes.
Yeah, it took like 5 guys right there. Yeah. Then there's Derwin in the back. He's about to jump in on that little pile right there.
So yeah, that was a film breakdown with Dan. Obviously, I know some of you guys missed it, so we're gonna do that real quick, Dan, before we do our final stuff. Let's go to some comments. We told you guys, hey, if you guys have good comments, we will shout them out on here. So let me
shout out of the episode, dude.
So right here, Morgan White Hackle 5940 says, huh?
Can you zoom in a little bit?
Yeah.
Thank you.
He says, I think we can dial up a better scheme to dictate the game. My assessment is we have good receivers, but I question their speed routes as well as not using them well enough. We didn't expose the middle. To be truthful, looking back at the previous team that had offensive success, we had Antonio Gates doing what Kelsey is doing right now. Do you think Kelsey has anything to do with the Chiefs' success in the Super Bowl? Obviously, that was sarcastic. It boils down to situational.
Oh, well, I guess maybe, yeah.
It boils down to not sarcastic, but obviously, obviously Kelsey has a lot to do with it. It boils because they got rid of Tyreek Hill and they still won a Super Bowl. Tyreek Hill and they still won a Super Bowl. It boils down to the situational awareness and how to create mismatches. We lack a true tight end that can win those routes in the middle. You know, it's funny you mentioned that. I've been saying the same thing too. That's why I thought they would go tight end in this draft. I thought, oh well, if they could get a good tight end, maybe they could change their fortune. I'm not saying that Gerald Everett's not a good tight end, but he's just different from what I think Antonio Gates was, and not even just Gates, but what Herbert kind of needs. I still remember, and I know you guys are going to say Pro Bowl, whatever. But a couple of years ago in the Pro Bowl, it was Herbert, he kept on going at Mark Andrews. That's the kind of tight end that I think he likes, like one of those like George Kittle, Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews kind of tight ends. Like, obviously, I'm not trying to say white, obviously, but I'm saying like grinders, guys that are gonna that are not scared to block, guys that are gonna do the most. But I bet you Herbert with Antonio Gates would be phenomenal, and guys like that. But yeah, I've also thought the same thing too. I don't think the Chargers attack the middle of the field as much as they should. I think that has to be a point of emphasis, obviously, moving forward, because I mean they have good receivers, like you said, Morgan. But yeah, I think they need to do something about that. Dan?
Yeah, I would say this is exactly what we've been talking about not using them well enough. Like, I don't understand why Mike Williams is being used for like receiver screens and stuff like that. Like, every time I see that, call me old fashioned. I have PTSD to the Broncos game, and I see everything going to hell after
But you
that.
saw why, because it set up that
Yeah, of course. But freaking put what's his name? Oh, of course his name escapes me now. What's number 11's name? Demarius?
No, Darius Davis. He's number 12.
Yeah. Have Darius Davis run the wide
number
receiver.
12, sir.
12, sorry. Have
Dose.
Damn it. Say it again. Darius Davis. Have Davis run the wide receiver screens. Have freaking Palmer run the wide receiver screens. Whoever. Don't have Mike run wide receiver screens anymore. Like, don't do it. For God's sake, you're tempting the football gods. I'm not playing with it. I understand it's to set up things, but I personally don't like it. I think the other thing we've talked about also, where's Quentin Johnston? You've barely seen him on the field. You know, the reps he's gotten, I don't think he has many targets. So again, there's big questions to be asked and answered about what's going on with the receiving core and stuff like that. And that's my thing, dude. Like, Mike can do a lot more than run fades and receiver screens. Don't do screens with him anymore. Please, God. Have him from time to time, dude. I don't know.
Andrew Calcio 7 says, "Hi, compas. This might be considered a hot take. Hello, by the way. But I believe that the players are more to blame than Staley for this Titans loss. Staley wasn't out there getting burned by the Titans wide receiver group on go routes. It was our $10 million per year cornerback Michael Davis and former second-round pick Asante Samuel Jr. The dumb penalties for extended drives for the Titans was also not on Staley. Kenneth Murray can't go head first into Tannehill. Sebastian Joseph Day can't push Tannehill to the ground. And Derwin, the highest paid safety in the league, can't go head first into a wide receiver who is already on the ground. These players are getting paid too much and have been in the league for too long to make errors like that." I'm not saying, yeah, I understand, Andrew, but sometimes like the Sebastian Joseph Day one, I saw nothing wrong with it. It just the
type of also was bang bang. He was going down.
The Derwin one I thought was bang bang as well. I mean, what do you expect these guys to do? And I understand you're saying they've been in here too long. I get it, but at the same time, I mean, these guys are, hey, like it was critical situations. You want to get off the field. It was third down. Sometimes these guys also try and make plays. I'm not saying that all three of these plays were to try and get their defense hyped, but maybe the Derwin one was to try and get the defense like, oh, we got off the field, let's do it. So yeah, obviously it wasn't a good play, but I agree with you with the secondary that the secondary does need to be better. The Sebastian Joseph Day one, the shoving him, like I saw that happen when Cleveland versus Pittsburgh. Deshaun Watson was releasing the football and here came TJ Watt and shoving him, or Kenny Pickett was getting thrown around. Like, so what? Just because it's Steelers versus Browns, it's supposed to be let go or whatever? No, like I think the refs just need to call it more down the middle, and they don't. So I just thought these refs were a little bit soft when it came to some of these penalties. The Kenneth Murray one, and that one I understand. The one I thought was more of a bang bang. The Sebastian Joseph Day to me was like, really? Like, you're going to call that just because he shoved Tannehill? But, I mean, everybody's different. But, yeah. But, Andrew, appreciate the comment. Lucky Roller 77 was giving me crap last week, people, because he said I say too much. But the reason why is because sometimes I hear Dan say something, and I'm like, oh, this would be a funny video to jump on the show. This would be cool to add, stuff like that. So that's why and sometimes Dan finishes and I'm still in the middle of doing something. So I'm like, but hey, we're still getting back in the swing of things. And I appreciate you looking out. You were much more professional. That's the part I love. You're a lot more professional. I'm always professional, but no, I appreciate it. I appreciate the comment. Obviously, I had a teacher during my master's program that he would hate when students would say, you'd go, he'd be like, don't say, and you'd be like, oh, okay. So he kind of got me out of that habit. The only time I ever say, really is when I'm thinking about something else. I'm thinking about something and I'm like, oh, okay. And then, is obviously a word filler, which I don't want to use word filler. So I appreciate that. But I mean, come on, professional. You're talking to me. I'm professional. I'm always professional. I know the and everything get in the way, obviously. So I appreciate you guys for sticking with me. That is my bad, but obviously,
Andrew brought up a good point though. The players do have to be held accountable at some point.
no, and that's what
I think it goes together,
and that's what Derwin said. Derwin's like, hey, it's on us too. Like, it's not just on the coaching staff. It's not just on it's on all of us. So I completely understand.
For sure, though, like that's what I'd like to still not have found a good cornerback group that you like having on the field. You know, that's what preseason's for, training camp and all that other stuff. So I think it's only going to get tougher if you don't kind of solidify that, because maybe Michael Davis is not feeling cold feet. What's it called? Hearing the footsteps or whatever. He's worried about getting benched and coming off. That sometimes, depending on who it is, makes them slower, like on the field, like decision making and all that stuff, because they don't want to make mistakes. But it's gonna definitely be wild on Sunday for Al covering.
All right, Dan. Speaking of Sunday, give me a fantasy player to watch.
Am I gonna pick the easy one or am I gonna pick a harder one?
Well, pick whoever you want.
Yeah, give me the Gritty King himself. I expect it to be almost close to Tyreek Hill numbers, dude. Honestly.
Wow. Okay, you went Vikings. I'll go Chargers. I'll say Mike Williams finally has a big game. I think Mike had a really good game against the Titans, but I think here he'll have an even bigger game. I think it's time for Mike to. He always does well on the road, so I expect him to have a big. Huh?
I said he likes playing on the road.
Yep. Yes, he does. Who will be the X factor?
I think the X factor. I've been picking the away team twice. This week I'm gonna pick the home or the Chargers. I think the Chargers offensive line is going to be the biggest X factor because
Daniel Hunter has 4 sacks in 2 games.
Exactly. They get after it, dude. They like to do a lot of the Mike Zimmer stuff where they would disguise, bail, or actually bring pressure from either right up on the line or from depth. You know, I think the other thing is we saw DeAndre Swift go off for 175 and 1 tud. We saw week 1 how good this rushing game can be if they invest time into it and actually commit to it. So I would expect them almost to run the football, try and gas these guys, get them tired, because these guys fly around, dude. They like to gang tackle, they swarm. So that's going to be my X factor, the Chargers offensive line.
Let's go. I'm going to go with Brian Flores, Dan. I think Brian Flores is I think he's going to shine. I think Brian Flores is I think not that he's going to shine, but I think he's going to be the determining X factor, because how is this defense going to be? We saw last year it wasn't very good. Yeah. This year it looks like they've kind of stepped it up a little bit. I know that the Eagles were able to run the football well against them. So like you said, I think the Chargers are going to need to run the football consistently, try and mix and match their backs, and try and get some movement. Dan, before we go to prediction, I do want to show this quick clip. Austin Eckler did miss practice on Wednesday. I don't know. He was out there standing there or whatever and talking to coaches. Don't know when he'll be back, but he did give an update on his podcast. Let's listen to it real quick.
Nice.
Yeah, dealing with the ankle. And I've dealt with ankles in the past. You just got to get it to a point where you feel good, where it's taped up, and you can actually feel like, okay, if I get tackled, it's not going to be re-aggravated and set me back to where I was before, where I could barely walk on it. It's nothing that's going to be like he's out for, several months type of thing. It's a day-to-day, week-to-week type of situation. I like the progress that I've made so far. So hopefully back sooner than later.
So that's Dr. Austin Eckler giving himself an evaluation. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding. But obviously, so Austin, sooner rather than later means to me the Raiders game. I don't know.
You don't think he hangs out?
Or you know what?
After the bye.
If they do lose this weekend. Well, if they win this weekend, I think they're trying to chill him out until the bye week.
Well,
I think if they lose, they will try and bring him. I think they will try and get him back by the Raider game.
Remember, too, this is a contract year for him, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, so he might be thinking about saving his body, too. Who knows?
All right, real quick. Give me your prediction.
Oh, sorry to the guy who said the ums and the ahs.
No, he was saying that to me.
No, I know, but I said it, too, so I try not to do that also.
You don't have to be a professional. I do.
Oh, you're right. I can be a stooge. Shout out. Thank God. No, I'm just kidding. I think, honestly, I've gone 2 weeks picking the Chargers. I just think this one, the Vikings are going to win at home. I think I'm going to take the Vikings.
Yeah.
But the only thing I will say is this: I forgot to mention this earlier. The Vikings have a lot of turnovers in their first 2 games.
They do.
Kirk Cousins fumbles, pick,
Madison
fumble. Kirk has a numerous fumbles in the past 2 games. So there's no time like the present for this defense to wake up. But I'm taking the Vikings.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Vikings as well. Dan, before we get out of here, I just wanted to show you this. So I'm like, my new favorite podcast is New Heights with Jason Kelsey and Travis Kelsey.
You know he has a doc, supposedly?
Yeah. I want to see the doc on Amazon Prime. It's supposedly really good. But I kind of see ourselves when I hear them talking. I kind of feel like it's you and I in a sense. Yeah. But listen to what they said. Desmond Ridder, he's from the Atlanta Falcons quarterback. Yeah. Jason Kelsey shouted him out because he won. He's 2-0.
Cincinnati.
Yeah, he went to the University of Cincinnati. Yeah, so he calls him Desmond Riddler. He calls him the Riddler. So then the brothers, just like we would do, listen to what they start doing.
Guy's just a stud, man. I'm happy for him getting the 2-0, starting off on the right foot, man. And leading those Falcons, man.
Yeah, man. Always love to see a fellow Bearcat. Yeah, man. The Riddler.
Congrats. The Riddler. Oh, my gosh. Please tell me that's his nickname. That
it is now.
His nickname.
The Riddler.
Is the Riddler the best bat? No, he can't be the best.
The Penguin.
Batman. The Penguin's the best?
Or Dr. Freeze.
Dr. Freeze?
Dr. Freeze?
No, Bane's a pussy. He's got a mask on. He can't breathe right.
You were simply... I was born in the darkness.
What villain should we come up with next? What if he has sleep apnea? The Joker is obviously the best.
Dude, Jim Carrey is the Joker. I mean, fuck, that's good, man.
No, Jim Carrey is the Riddler.
The Riddler, my bad. Ooh, the Joker. Joker's a good
The Joker's the best one. Might be one of the best villains across.
They're a little more tamed and PG friendly.
Yeah, exactly. But they're and we're sorry for the language, but it's just such a good podcast.
Hey, we're gonna start the post game on Sunday with that. Who is the best DC Batman villain? Get in the comments. We're gonna see.
You want to start that after the Chargers game?
Who is the best?
Right.
Who is the best? Who is the best? Who is your favorite Batman villain? Get it in the comments. Let us know.
Yeah, do it now. And we'll review it next week for the preview against the Raiders. Well, we should have a good guest as well. There's a plethora. How do you like that, Mr. Keep It Professional? Big word right there.
Now he's got $10. Now you got him saying $10 words. Thank you, dude. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. We have a plethora of guests that we can choose from. But obviously, we appreciate you guys so much for checking out this preview. Thank you so much, Alec Lewis. Thank you guys for listening, for always being here. Comment. If you guys have any questions you guys saw, we do answer them. Obviously, they have to be not good quite, but like, come on, keep it PG. You know what's good.
Take it easy.
Yeah, exactly.
Easy. We saw Gilberto said, they were coming for blood, dude.
Like Gilberto said, relax. Let's get it going. But again, we appreciate you guys so much. Don't forget to check out everything else on COMPAS on the Beat Network. COMPAS on the Beat. We break down everything from the Monday Night Football games. Some of the big storylines going on right now. Don't forget to check out House of Horns. The Rams go to the Bengals. If Joe Burrow doesn't play, Dan, I think the Rams might come out victorious.
They looked a lot better than I would have thought.
Yeah, definitely. Their defense is the question mark, but Puka and Matthew Stafford and all these guys are playing well. And then obviously, don't forget to check out Combat Compas. Don't forget to check out Compas FC. We will have a new episode previewing the Champions League, or not previewing, reacting to all the Champions League games from.
Oh, Eddie's big hype. Didn't City already play and win?
Make sure, huh?
Did City already play and win? I think they did.
Yeah, they already played.
I don't know if everyone knows this. Edward is a big Pep guy. I just got to say.
Oh, my God. All right. Well, we appreciate you guys. Don't forget to be here Sunday. As soon as the game is over, Dan and I will react to it. We will post it right away so you guys can comment. Let us know what you guys think. But again, thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your week and have a great weekend. Remember, guys, be like Dan. Don't let it affect you. I know in the time that you're watching the game, sure. But after that, you come over, You talk to us. Dan and I got you guys. We will help you cope
got
whatever happens. But thank you guys so much. Have a good one.